instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. And welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Flagstick Podcast, brought to you by Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination, boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country with over 400 fairways, closer than you can possibly imagine, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book your golf vacations at golfpei.ca. Obviously, we want to make sure that you are checking us out on all the social media networks, Instagram, X, Facebook, TikTok. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We really encourage you, obviously, to check out our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Make sure that you never miss a single episode ever. And there's always some new stuff added up there that's not necessarily this podcast. So that's why we want you to check out the YouTube channel, because you're missing out if you're not subscribed.
And a lot more coming. Obviously, just trying to work on some time to do some extra filming and stuff like that. But certainly some things that are being asked for. And hey, if people are asking for stuff, we're going to certainly deliver. How's that?
Sounds like a good plan. I'm Jeff Potter. That guy was Scott McLeod, and we're the guys that bring this to you every week as we possibly can. Yeah. And we try to do some different stuff. We try to talk some golf. We try to give you some different topics that are a little bit unique. And this week is no exception. Aside from bringing you up to speed on the world of golf, which is something that we really do like to do. We're going to talk about some of our ideas and potential summer golf road trips. Scott, we're going to do that in the back nine. Yeah. Scott and I are no stranger to the road trip.
Oh yeah.
We've done a number of road trips dating back to, and we'll get into this, but going all the way back to the original road trip, which was back in, oh my gosh,
2000
and it was 2000. It was 2000, and it was to Michigan. So the Sunrise side.
Remember
that. But we'll talk about that, because that's what we do in the back nine. We talk about experiences that we've had and experience that you should have. And we're going to do that in the back nine. But let's get to the front nine, presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Golf season is closer than you think. So don't wait. Start preparing for the upcoming season now. Get your memberships, join leagues, and buy those game packs. Be ready to hit the first tee in the spring. Visit metcalfgolf.com to shop now.
Already talking to a bunch of golf courses that, their inquiries are exceeding their capacity as far as membership. So, a lot of them, still have, as you mentioned, things like game packs and different types of deals and different things in place or whatever. But yeah, people should definitely jump on that and get planning. And, it is February, and, 8 weeks from now, we could be teeing it up in parts of this region for sure.
Well, it's true. And you know what? I'm really happy to hear that kind of statement with respect to people inquiring about memberships and things like that, because I truly believe that the best type of golf membership that you can have is a membership to a club, to an actual golf club, not, this third party stuff that's out there. Sure. Just join a golf club and experience that part of things. Now, I know there's a lot of green fears out there and they don't want to spend the money joining the club. They want to travel around and play different clubs. That's what the other stuff is for. But if you really, truly want to experience what it's like to be a part of a member at a golf club, you got to do it at a specific location. Like I really truly believe that. There will be those that don't agree with me, but there's those that don't agree with a lot of what I say.
Including in your household. I mean, that's what we.
In my household, everybody agrees with me. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
There's nothing I say that anybody disagrees with.
Ever. Man.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
No, it's good to see that for sure, but people should understand as well, we act as sort of a conduit for all the golf courses that are within this region for
Mhm.
sure. And well, even beyond that. And I mean, it's unbelievable how many inquiries, DMs and messages that we get daily across every single one of our social media platforms.
Let me
So
guess. Instagram, Facebook, X,
yeah,
TikTok.
all those to a point. Sometimes it's like you feel bad because you go back and you find a message that somebody sent to the Facebook account, and they sent
Yeah.
it on the direct message and whatever. And it's hard to monitor them all, but certainly we get back to people as much as we can. We're happy to give that advice, and golf courses and businesses should know this is part of what we do. We're not just out there pumping out news and stuff. We're talking to the golfers. We're shaping and influencing what they're doing. They're asking about particular things. So that awareness with us makes a difference with us as far as knowing what's happening at your facility.
Mhm.
These are the people we're influencing. These are the people that are thousands of them that are coming to the website every single day. So, and I'm not sitting here trying to just shill for marketing type things, but in a sense I am. We are a conduit that way. So if people are looking to do some effective marketing for their golf facility, yeah, we definitely have a location for you, and Jeff's your guy to talk to on that.
That would be me. Um, yeah, but the thing is, that's what the original magazine was created. It was created as a way of generating information about the golf community, at a regional level to, this particular audience through at the time through print. And then
Yeah.
that evolved
Mm-hmm.
to what it is now. And yes, it's more, a lot of what we do now is a little more than regional, but we haven't forgotten about the regional side of
Oh
things.
no,
If
not at all.
anybody's ever been to flagstick.com, it's still very regionalized.
Yeah.
Even though that, all of that national and international information, all that stuff about golf equipment
Mm-hmm.
you could be anywhere in the world, and the
That's
content
universal.
that we're
Yeah.
delivering is the kind of content that would be of interest to you. So, that is what we do, and it is a business. So obviously we do in any media business, advertising is the key thing, the key ingredient that fuels the fire, so to speak, and
Yeah.
we're always searching for it. We're always looking for it. We're always trying to make sure that we have enough of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not so I can live in some mansion in Malibu, but that I
Yeah.
can make a decent living doing what we're doing. So,
Yeah, and really, in the end, it's we hear from people all the time as well. They say, we wish there was somebody in their community that was, advocates for golf like we
mhm.
do. And that's not sitting here and to pump our tires, but being involved heavily with the Golf Journalists Association of Canada and seeing the membership across the country, it's very limited as far as what people are doing. And no offense to people that pop up and they say, hey, well, I've got this account or this account. A lot of those people just go away. They don't care. They care about what themselves more than
Mhm.
anything. And I hate to say they're being selfish or whatever, but our mission has always been about golf. And 28 years later,
Mhm.
when I talk to other people that say, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and five stories later or 5 episodes later or whatever, they're gone. Yeah, it's work. It takes a lot of work. I mean,
Well, that's the thing, right?
people
It's
recognize that, and I'm not saying people don't recognize that. I'm very thankful for the amount of people that reach out all the time and say, wow, the coverage is fantastic. Glad to see what you guys do on social and whatever the case may be. But just understand, it doesn't exist everywhere. It really doesn't.
No, and that's the thing. And there are people even, within our industry. There are people within our industry that are in it for the wrong reasons and are
Mm,
very successful,
mhm.
in this industry as a golf journalist, but are still in it just for the freebies. They're still in
Sure.
it
Yeah.
to, for a free round of golf, a free trip, a free bag of golf equipment, whatever. They're in it for
Yeah.
the free stuff, and they,
Be in it for the golf. Be in it for the golf
exactly.
and the community. That's the most important part, and that authentic nature always will ring through.
Hmm.
It's easy to see through the other stuff. It really, really is. So,
100%. So
anyways,
as we led in with the front nine being presented by Metcalf Golf Club,
mm,
and speaking of the golf season being closer than you think, um, the Golf Expo.
Yeah.
is coming up in a week.
Yeah. And all of our friends are going to be there. Even our friends from Golf PEI are going to be there
I
as well.
know, I
So
know. I'm
yeah,
excited about that because
the
we'll
team
have a
from
chance to sit
Metcalf
down and talk to them about some potential upcoming events.
announcements, maybe,
Never know. You never know.
maybe.
But so yeah, the Golf Expo is coming up.
Yeah,
It is on March 1st and 2nd.
yeah, at the old EY Center up in the
And
airport.
it should be a good kickoff to what we hope to will be a really good golf season, good long golf season, good mix of moist and warm at times. Something in between, just enough rain to keep the courses nice and green without draining the ponds, the
Yeah,
irrigation ponds of every golf course in the region, but not so much rain that we aren't able to play because it's so wet, and not too hot that we don't want to go outside.
yeah,
Is
for
that too
sure.
much to ask, really, for a golf
No.
season? Just enough moisture, just enough heat.
Uh,
Um,
how
just
often have we no, we should say, I mean, there's never a normal, that's for sure, but it's also we you know what, here's what is consistent. What is consistent is that enthusiasm for what is possibly to come that
hmm
has happened since that first golf show, that you attended in 1996.
Wow.
That's a while ago for people. I mean, we have a lot of people that are listening
1996.
to this that probably weren't even born then. uh
Those watching on YouTube, 1996 is behind me in the magazine rack right
yeah,
now. There's a big
exactly.
question mark on the cover. That's 1996.
But I think that's what, the golf shows, represent. It's that optimism at the start of the year. It's for what's to come. It's
Yeah.
that anticipation. It's that, people fired up, starting to plan, just like we're going to talk about in the back nine, starting
Yeah.
to plan for, what's going to come in the year ahead. And, what golf courses do they want to play? Where are they going to travel to? What equipment they're going to put in their bag. And I mean, I guess that really sums up what that expo is really all about. It's people just
Yeah.
getting fired up for the year.
And I think that's the thing, is that we're really trying to do with the Golf Expo is just get people wound up and excited about golf early.
Yeah.
March 1st is obviously the courses aren't open. I mean, there's always a good chance that a certain driving range in the West End,
Might get open. Sure.
might get
Yeah.
open. The Kevin Haim Golf Center. You never
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen it in February.
Sure. For sure.
And we certainly don't have anywhere near as much snow as we've had on the ground sometimes at some points during this time of year.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there's a good chance that if our good buddy Kevin Heyman and the crew can get that place open, ready to go by Golf Expo weekend,
Yeah.
watch out. I mean,
Hey, and
because
if
it
people
is
want to make,
heated bays and everything out there too,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, and if people want to make a road trip, I mean, they can definitely go down to southwestern Ontario. I mean, Tarandoa opens back again this weekend. There's a couple other courses that have been open intermittently in the last couple of weeks or whatever. So I haven't heard much from the kind of the Syracuse sort of gang in that
I
area.
remember those.
We
Speaking
used to,
of road trips,
yeah, we used to do a fair bit down there or whatever, but
yeah.
Liverpool golf courses down there tend to try to get open as early as they can, but I know they've had a fair bit of snow down there, so hard to say what's going to happen there. But again, you know what, once that show hits, you're only weeks away. And I think one of the biggest things about that show, it's always been for us, is just that interaction with our golf community. And we don't say readers anymore. It is a community, because
hmm
it's listeners, it's viewers, it's people that just follow on social media. It's just truly a community, and often it's putting a face to the names
Yeah.
of people that we interact with all the time. And that's always the neat part, to kind of turn that into reality and to create a real bond with these people that are sort of anonymous when you're working away in your
Oh, for
office.
sure.
So
Yeah, for sure. So what would be Scott, what would be maybe one of your biggest memories of the of Golf Expo's past?
ooh, I would say for me, wow, a couple of them. One, the year we had a massive section with a putting green in the middle, where we did some contesting on the putting green. We had a whole
hmm
little section sort of laid out. And the other one that really jumps out is the equipment panels. and seminars that I used to do early on. Because
Mm-hmm.
you got to remember, back pre heavy social media, people didn't hear a lot about equipment or get to know about equipment. So I don't even know what the first year was when I started doing that, going up on stage and talking about all the latest equipment and whatever. And I think that sort of peaked a little bit with bringing a bunch of the manufacturers up and talking to them. I think, yeah. So I mean, those really stand out to me. And then also a couple of years where we had a private room, an interview room
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to the side, which was fun. We had a little studio and whatever. But we've done so many things kind of over the years, and again, it's all about just interactivity more than anything. So what about it for you? What jumps out for you
I'll tell you, I
besides
have so
long
many.
nights and days?
I could. Okay, should we move this to the back nine and have a whole section with this? 'Cause I
No,
have
no, no.
so many memories
We can make it.
of
We can
this
make it the
golf
whole
expo.
front nine if we want.
I have so many memories of the golf expo, from because the golf expo is essentially the golf expo is where this all began.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This
For
is where
sure.
it started before it actually even started.
Right.
So, I'd say my earliest memory of the golf expo is the very first one we ever did, which
Aberdeen
was before
Pavilion.
we even published a magazine.
Yeah.
I had a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Um, I had a five
Flag.
foot wide by 10 foot deep half booth, with a telescoping ball retriever extended up past the top of my booth with a little cardboard Flagstick magazine logo on top of it. And all I was doing was we were giving away a push cart, I think.
Hey, that's all right.
And we were collecting names, and at that time I didn't even really know what we were doing with them. We were just collecting names to do a draw. I don't think we
Sure.
collected email addresses back then for anything like that. But
Yeah, not a lot of people had email addresses or were
that's my
using them at
earliest
that point.
memory.
Yeah.
But then there's been so many other ones. There's been the year where we had was an anniversary year. I want to say it was the 10th
Okay.
anniversary, and we took a booth that was back off um, the main aisles, and we had a walkway going back to it, and I had sign holders on pedestals on this runway all the way back to our booth that had the
Oh,
covers of all the magazines.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And I
forgot
think
about
that
that
was
one.
10 years. And not all memories are good. Okay, because that was the
No.
dumbest thing I ever. That had to be one of the dumbest things they ever did. Let's take our booth off of the main aisle and put it 30 feet back in the corner with a runway.
Yeah.
Thinking, this is sort of that whole sort of like a Hall of Fame kind of museum type thing where people would walk and they'd look at the different covers and then they'd get back to our booth. Nobody came to the booth.
Yeah.
We ended up
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
to stand out at the entrance
Right.
to the
Yeah,
handing
I
out
remember that.
magazines
Yeah.
because nobody was coming back. And then
Right.
there are years, all those years where we had the van, and
Right.
the van was all
Oh yeah,
logoed
in
up,
the
and
booth.
yeah, and we had
Including the year the door was open and by the time the show
the
was
battery
done,
died.
the battery was dead. Had to get
So
boost the
back then
vehicle
we had,
in the
I
show.
think our biggest booth, we had a 10 foot by 40 foot booth.
Right.
Half of the booth was these big, huge metal racks that I got from Zellers when it went
Was
out
it
of
Zellers?
business,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we would bring
Or was
them.
it
We would
Kmart? Was it Zellers or
It was
Kmart?
Zellers.
Zellers. Okay.
So we put them in the
God, those
back
things
of
are
the
heavy.
van. So we'd load the back of the van with magazines,
Yeah.
and then we would put the metal racks on top of the stack of magazines,
And then drive it in.
and we would drive the van in, park it beside the booth, take
The
the
racks out.
carpet,
Yeah.
roll the carpet out, or the tiles. Later on, we did tiles,
Mm.
but we'd
Oh my
take the
God. I
carpet
forgot about
out
that.
of the back of the van. We'd roll it out in the booth, flatten it out. Then we'd park the van on one side.
Yeah.
Then we put up the racks, and then we would load the racks with the magazines for the weekend. And then we would take the armor all and do the tires and shine the van up and everything. And then at the end of the show, we would throw everything in the back of the van
Yeah.
and drive out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the craziest setup and takedown ever,
Yeah.
because you just drive everything in, set it up, and drive everything out. Now we had to leave later than most, and we had to arrive earlier than most to be able to
True.
do
That's
that.
right. Yeah. So
And it
smart, but not smart. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there was a year that we were looking to help give the show a spark, and we uh, brought Lisa
Oh yeah.
Vluslik
Yeah. Yeah. Our friend
from
Lisa
Calgary.
Longo.
At
Yep.
that time was I think the reigning Canadian women's long drive champion, and she was competing regularly on the women's the LDA
Hmm.
tour, and she did a guest speaking, and she was awesome, and probably one of the really highlights of many of the golf expos that have been done as far as stage presence.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
there was that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And what else? The list goes on and on. I do remember the putting green. I think the year that we did the putting green was also the year that we brought her, because we had
Yeah. It
the
was. Yeah.
so we had that. We've had I don't know if you
I
remember.
guess that's the
Do
thing.
you
We've
remember
had so
Project
many.
13?
Oh God. Yes. Oh, that was the website. That was a new
Yes. So
website.
Project
Yes.
13,
Jesus. That's
we did
12 years ago now, 11 years ago. Yeah.
we did a blind promo.
Yeah.
We were working with a company to completely get away from using Microsoft Front Page
Yeah.
to build the website. We were going to a WordPress-based website, and we hired a company. It's the first time that I'd ever hired outside to do something. Because when it comes to the magazine, the design, the website, and everything that you see now, that's all internal. That's all, I do all the web work. Scott's
Yeah.
doing all the writing. It's all done internal. There's no hired guns outside doing work for us. Um, but there was a time when I thought we needed something bigger, so we hired a company, and it cost, I mean,
Stupid.
stupid amount of money,
Yeah.
and we got a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Got an
It was a
absolute
dud.
piece of garbage, and we were doing this big marketing promo called Project 13 because it was 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to tease people about the launch of this fantastically awesome, better than you can imagine website. And we
Uh,
were launching it at the Golf Expo. It was the timing. And I
oh,
can remember being on the phone the
it was the
whole weekend.
slowest website in
Slowest
the
website
history
on the
of the planet.
planet. It was broken. Like it was, and it never lasted.
No.
We ended up hiring another company,
Yeah.
Baytech Systems,
Yeah. To fix
to
it.
fix it and
Yeah.
get it up and running. And then eventually I taught myself,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
WordPress and coding, and we ended up taking it internal and doing it ourselves. But good Lord.
Yeah. I mean,
Those
there's
enough
definitely.
memories for you?
Yeah, that's definitely enough, and I'm sure people are probably having a nap by now, probably us going down memory lane or whatever. But yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. There's obviously stuff happening this year, and stuff taking place, and we're in the midst of finishing up our plans for um our own booth and presence that's there. But we're also involved with lots of different things that are
Yeah, yeah,
happening
yeah.
during the show. Lots of good friends there, be it Canadian Pro Shop Online. Our friends from Metcalf are there as well. Golf PEI. These are partners and people that we work with on top of many others.
Yeah.
So good to see them and obviously help promoting them. The show itself, we're a media partner with the show. So obviously we've been doing some promotion and stuff for them and getting involved. With Greg Chambers and doing some stuff on stage. And one thing that's he asked about a few days back and was possibly doing a Q&A with Curtis Barkley. Curtis is somebody we've known for a long time, former winner of the Smuggler Shootout, OBGA Match Play, OBGA Champion of Champions, who's now gone on to worldwide success in the the Golf for Disabled ranks, the the All Abilities tournaments, multi-time Ontario and Canadian champion. And Greg reached out and said, hey, would you be interested in doing a Q&A with Curtis?
Great
And
idea.
yeah, which is going to be fantastic. And the funniest part was Greg was like, "Do you want me to do some research and stuff for it?" I'm like, "Greg, I got this. It's good. It's good." Because it go back and how long we've been, following
Oh
Curtis's
my gosh,
journey.
yeah.
Yeah, and so it's going to be fun. Curtis is just just finishing up a tournament in Kenya. He's all done there now. Finished seventh place this week, and he's going to be back, and we're going to sit down on the stage with him and take people through his story, which I think is there's a lot to learn from it. From
I
a
think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too. And
perseverance standpoint, definitely.
he's currently the number 5 ranked in the
Yeah.
world too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Number one in Canada, number five in the world. So
Extraordinary.
obviously done some great things. But you know, I think one of the things is that we hear as golfers all the time, we make excuses, right? It's really easy to say, oh, I did this or I did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the end, we don't really have it that bad
No.
comparatively. So when you get to hear Curtis's story, if you come down, hopefully, you know, maybe we'll film some clips and stuff like that for that as well. You know, and people can just Google his name and head onto our website. They can find some stuff on there about him. But just to hear from his perspective of, you know, not only playing you know, we'll call normal tournaments. Every tournament's normal
Mm-hmm.
now, as far as I'm concerned. But being involved with all our events, Canadian amateur events, Ontario stuff, or whatever, and then making that transition to the G4D, the DGA stuff, and you know, even those conversations that he and I had behind the scenes of making that transition, and should he do it, and you know, what are those plans about, and now what it's done for him in getting to play worldwide, and you know, sharing those stories of what's happened for him so far and the experiences of, you know, playing with great players and sharing locker rooms with the Rory McIlroys and things of the world, because you know, a lot of the times the EDGA events are running in concert with the DP World Tour events.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that should be a fun time there. Yeah, and then
Okay.
you know, lots of other stuff going on at the show. They're going to help out our other buddy Derek McDonald up on the stage with some teaching stuff as well, like I did last year. And yeah, it's just, you know, we're integrated in this show. We have been since, you know, you raised that flag in 1996.
I raised the flag, baby.
And
So
it keeps on
so
going.
if anybody wants to book tickets online, I think you can do that,
Yep,
or check out things. I think it's Golf Expos, golfexpos.ca, I believe
yeah,
is the web
I believe so.
address.
Yep,
Let's double check that. Golfexpos.ca, I
I'll
believe, is the
double
web
check it
address. Let's
right
just
now.
make sure that we're correct. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. You know, it
I
is what
think
it is.
yeah, you are. You're bang on.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, you can go to, that'll actually take you right over to CanadianGolfExpo.ca. So if
Hmm.
people want to go to CanadianGolfExpo.ca, that'll take you there. And then
There
from
you go.
there, that you can choose the Ottawa event, and then you can buy your tickets right there.
Beautiful. Do it. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have something to give away on the weekend.
Maybe.
Pretty sure that we will have something to give
Oh,
away on the weekend.
okay. News to me too here,
Well,
folks.
shouldn't be news to you. There's all kinds of stuff around here to give away.
All right.
Okay, so let's just wrap up. Let's get through some of the we got about maybe 7 or 8 minutes here just
Sure.
to
Just some
we've
quick
talked a
stuff.
lot about the Golf Expo, but that's fine because it's coming up and it's important. But
Yes.
um Canadians this past week had finished in the top 10 in 7 different professional tours.
Yeah.
It's pretty extraordinary what's going on with the Canadian professional golf, Canadian
Yeah.
amateur golf, the collegiate, like just watching so many Canadians having so much success on a regular basis. It's going to get to the point where we it doesn't become really a highlight; it becomes a norm.
Yeah, which is where you want it to be for
Yeah.
sure. But I think it was kind of, I think it was enlightening for a few people, because even, you know, no offense to Golf Canada, but even when they do like their, you know, leaderboard stuff or whatever, you know, they're focused on 3 tours.
Hmm.
And I was almost adamant on social media. It's like there's 7 different tours, so don't dismiss this, because these are your other players that are coming up. So
Yeah.
you know, while it's great that Stephen Ames, you know, he won on tour, got a 7th win on the PGA Champions Tour.
Yeah.
It was great that Adam Hadwin and Adam Svensson were top 10 at the Genesis. But yeah, you know what? Jared Dutois in there, you know, at the Asian Tour, first event, tied for 7th. A couple guys at the Toro Tour in the top 10. That's a minor tour in Spain. Asher Tour out in California. Matt Anderson, Johnny Trevally, both finished in the top 10 out there. Noah Steele, top 10 in the North Texas PGA Players Tour, getting ready for the PGA Tour Americas season. And 2 of our female players had a finished top 10 at the Cactus Tour event in Arizona. Megan Oslin finished 5th, and Bridget Tebow was in a tie for 10th. So an amazing week, and one that shouldn't be ignored. And people have to look at, you know, what's happening underneath the tip of the iceberg and realize this is where the other players come from.
Well, that's it, because that's the thing. All of a sudden they appear and people go, I never heard of him before. Well,
Right.
he's been there, just
Yeah.
not, he's been one level or two levels down below, just kind of
Yep.
lurking there, playing well, doing things, nobody really talking about him except this podcast,
Yeah.
and flagstick.com.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. Now, there's a number of players, a number of Canadians in the lineup for this week's PGA Tour Mexico Open. Mackenzie Hughes, Stuart McDonald, Taylor Pendrith, Ben Silverman, Roger Sloan, all in the field for this week's PGA Tour Mexico Open.
Yep.
And we'll see how well the Canadians fare
Mm-hmm.
this week.
Sure.
Other news, just to bring up, the 102nd PGA Championship of Canada will be played at the Mickelson National Golf Club near Calgary in June,
Yep.
June 9th to the 12th. And other cool news for those that are
have
access to or frequent some of the indoor golf facilities, like our good friends at Celtic Golf Center, Falcon Ridge, Royal Ottawa, I suppose, too, but that one's a little, that have the TrackMan sim setups. If with the President's Cup close at hand, you can. They've added Royal Montreal's blue course to their course library. So, you know what that means. You know what that means. Not only are there going to be a lot of people frequenting indoor golf facilities that feature TrackMan playing the blue course at Royal Montreal prior to the President's Cup, there's going to be a whole bunch of President's Cup parties going on.
Which is good. That's
awesome.
That's a fun way to have it, for sure. And I think the other side of it too is it lets people get familiar with the golf course. So when they're viewing it in September, they're like, hey, I've been on that golf course, I played that.
I played there.
I played that, sort of.
I'm waiting for the conversation that I have with somebody where we're just chatting about golf courses.
I know what's going to happen. I know what you're going to say.
I was playing the third hole there at blah blah blah, that's a downhill or a dogleg right. I took one 185 with a hard cut over the water there. I was like, really, you've played there? Oh yeah, out at Falcon Ridge, out at Celtic Golf Center there. We were tipping it up with the buddies there, had a few pints too. It was great.
Oh, don't worry, they're the same ones that will tell you they're a +2, and then you say where, and you're like, oh, in TrackMan. But that's okay.
Good for you though.
Have fun and enjoy yourself. And I'm actually testing some beta software right now. They've actually got some peer-to-peer online play.
Yeah.
So you can actually, I did a test with our friend Derek there the other night, and we actually played a course together online back to back. And it shows on the same screen on both sides. So nice features and stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. But if I go out to my garage right now, there's just.
Well, you go to Derek and Jenny's house.
I think there's a car.
And I'll be here. So how's that? We'll play
Derek and Jenny's house. All right. I'm sure they'd love to have me over.
Yeah. I should briefly mention too, Brooke Henderson's back in play. I was up early because the event's in Thailand. She hasn't played in 3 weeks. And she finished 4th here in 2022. But I was up early because the event was played last night. So I was up early to do a story. She's already tied for 3rd after the first round, 5 under par. So
cool.
A good one to follow this week and see how she makes out there. She was back home to Canada for about a week or so in that 3 weeks that she had off. So said she went skating when she came home.
So. There you go. I'm sure she enjoyed that. Strap on the pads and get some shots by the Smith Falls Bears.
Yeah, I don't think she plays any goalie anymore, but I'll have to ask her sometime. When was the last time she actually put on the pads? And
I'm sure they'd love to have her out there.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably would.
Just a reminder to everybody that the Flagstick Open presented by TaylorMade Adidas. We're still getting registrations, and we still want to keep getting. We just got 2 or 3 more today. Anybody that registers now is going right on the wait list, but that's fine because there's a good chance if you're early on the wait list that you're going to get in automatically. So don't stress out about not being in the 120 player field just yet. Go ahead and get yourself on the wait list, and I will be opening the registration for the Flagstick Shootout next week. So for those that want to get registered, whether you're registered for the Open or not, or whether you are on the wait list or not, the Flagstick Shootout, it's a limited 72 player field. No indexes, no flights, no divisions, just straight up go at it hard golf. Good prize table, good registration gift as always. And we're really excited about having that event back for the 2nd straight year. So that registration will open next week, and I wouldn't wait too long to get set into that field either. So
no, and our defending champion Connor Gadet reached out the other week, and he's making room in his schedule to come back and defend.
beautiful. Okay, we got to get out of here. We got to get a break. When we come back, we're going to talk road trip. And I'm sure this conversation will be very enlightening, very interesting, and at times very comical. So stay with us. You're listening to the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. We'll be right back.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
And we are back. Listening to the Flagstick podcast with myself, Jeff Botter, and Scott McLeod. And we're going to get at this back nine thing and talk about some road tripping. Back nine presented this week by Celtic Golf Center, located 20 minutes from Ottawa in Kempville. Celtic Golf Center is indoor golf at another level, featuring 5 state-of-the-art TrackMan simulators, 2 new Unicore sims with GS Pro. Celtic Golf Center can offer over 10,000 golf course options, including many major courses, some with island greens and beautiful azaleas, and apparently now with the Royal Ottawa Blue Course.
There you go.
On those TrackMan sims. So play rounds with friends, practice with full swing analysis, play golf games, visit CelticGolfCenter.com to learn more or to book your tee times.
You got it.
All right, Scott. Well, last week we talked about things we loved about golf. Yeah. And a common theme amongst the things that we loved about golf was playing new courses. So enter the
topic this week
behind the topic of this week's podcast back nine discussion. Let's take a hypothetical road trip in Canada.
Yeah. We like to support our Canadian golf course.
Of course. Duration, direction, it's up to you.
Sure.
Where you want to play, why you want to play there. If you even have a specific reason why you want to play there, you just want to do it. You decide the duration, the direction, the circumstances. Can be with friends, family, people you like, people you don't like. Look it. People have done stranger things, my friend.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. People have done stranger things.
If
gone
you have
on road trips with people we don't like.
Sometimes you might end up with somebody you don't always like.
Exactly. So visiting private or public golf courses.
Yeah.
If you want to get down to straight out specifics, or if you just want to keep it general.
Yeah.
It's a good discussion.
And there's no right answer. I think that people have to realize that, I think it's funny sometimes when people will roll out kind of what they want to do in golf or want to take a trip. And then people are like, why do you want to do that? You should play this golf course because it's the best. Well, it's that person's choice. They're playing it for a particular reason.
Hey, look, I drink my coffee from a white mug with dimples on the side of it. There's no real reason for it. It's the first mug that I
have in a black Yeti, and it's not really,
it's the first mug I grabbed out of the cupboard.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
No. And I think that's when it comes down to it. It's kind of and this is a conversation I have on a fairly frequent basis. I talk to people kind of what's the top of the mountain for you? What would you like to do if given the freedom, given the budget, given whatever, maybe it's a few weeks, maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month. What would you do? And I mean, I know you've rattled this around in your brain a little bit. Where would you start on this?
Well, I mean, it's going to sound like a bit of a broken record, because of the fact that it has been a common destination. But let's just say I'm renting an RV.
I like that. That's a good way to do it, right?
I'm not it's going to rent an RV and
no hotels, nothing. Just stick it out in the RV.
We'll plan it out. We'll figure out where the RV parks are and so on and so forth, where you're able to hook up and that'll be part of the planning process. But I'm going to jump in that RV with some buddies. and we're gonna go do an Atlantic Canada tour. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I love Atlantic Canada. I
Yeah,
have
and
been
really,
there.
you've done some, but you haven't
Yes.
done maybe as much as you
Well,
possibly could.
there's some parts. I mean, I haven't done Newfoundland and Labrador.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't really played golf in New Brunswick.
Right. Yeah.
Drove through New Brunswick.
Yeah.
I've done some Nova Scotia, and I've done some PEI, but I haven't. You know, I think just
Not to the extent you want, right?
no, and not in this fashion. You know, where you
Right.
just kind of like. I think it'd be a cool thing to do is just to
Yeah.
rent an RV, load it up, throw the gear in, get the buddies together, and just drive to
Yeah.
Atlantic Canada and start playing on the way in,
Yeah.
plan a tour. Maybe it's 2 or 3 weeks you're gone for, you
Yeah.
know, and you're just
So,
playing, and then you play it and you hit someplace on the way out.
so for you, are there particular, I won't say are there particular courses, but are there particular types of golf courses that you want to play or ones that have an interest? And I'm not saying it has to be
Nope,
the whole, no, so it doesn't have to be the whole trip, but
nope.
what would you see included on that though?
You know, I mean, obviously, any trip to Atlantic Canada, there's certain courses that you want to make sure are on that list. You know,
Maybe.
I want to play at Cabot. You know,
Right.
I want to play at Crowbush.
Hmm.
Um, you know, but really, other than that, maybe I want to play Fox Harbor.
Right.
But there's some courses, you know, Covered Bridge. Like
Oh
there's
yeah. Yeah.
courses
Yeah.
in areas of Atlantic Canada I haven't seen yet that
Right.
I don't even know well enough to know if I want to play there or not. I just
Mm,
want to play some, and I
right.
don't really care. You know, obviously, when you're planning a trip, you've got to, especially if you're doing it in an RV, you've got to know where certain things that where you can stop, you
Right.
know,
Of
to park
course.
for the
But
night. And
let's just throw that aside.
yeah, so I want to play, I just want to play some variety. I just want some different. I want some public. You know, there doesn't have to be any private on that. I mean, I realize Fox Harbor is pretty, you know, private sort
Well,
of.
it's a resort, so yeah.
So it's not like there's not no tea times.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just it's a
Yeah,
little
you're gonna
more
have
on
to
the
do some
expensive
planning.
side. It's maybe a little harder to get when
Yeah.
you want to go, but it just, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, courses that I have played, you know, with Northumberland Links, always like
Mm,
that golf course.
yep.
But it's the ones that I haven't played, the areas that I haven't played that I want to make up in that little tour. So the ones in New Brunswick and Newfoundland, Labrador,
Yep.
like those sort of courses that I haven't been to those areas, but I have seen golf courses and I've heard of golf courses in those areas that, you know, I think there's just enough going on there that if I went for a long enough period of time, I'd want to see some of that.
Yeah. Would
Um,
you would you would you drive every day or would you if you found something that you really liked or a community that you liked or whatever, would you hang out for a few days and maybe go back and play the same course again? What would be
I
your
guess it
take on that?
depends. It depends on how the booking side of things, like how hard it is to get on some of the golf
Right,
courses.
true.
Like obviously
Yeah.
some golf courses you have to book well enough in advance. So you don't have
Yeah.
the luxury of saying, you know, let's just stick around here for a few days and play these golf courses because they're awesome.
Mm,
You might not be able to get onto them.
right.
So if you're playing Cabot or, you know, Crowbush or something like that,
Yeah.
you're probably more likely to
Yeah.
be designated to be in that area for a while,
Sure.
um, or for at a specific time. And then other areas, maybe it's like, hey, that was a really good golf course. We want to see if we can't play it tomorrow,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and then you get a tee time the next day, and you kind of
Yeah.
leave some of your schedule open. So you don't,
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to have a round of golf booked every day or every 2 days. I think I'd have to have, I want to have certain ones booked,
Mm,
and then I'd have other ones where it'd be like, hey, that'd be a cool one to check out. Let's see if we can squeeze in. And if you
right.
can't, you move on to the next golf
Yeah,
course.
just leave some flexibility. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think I think a lot of times when people do trips, like again, I know they want to play, they want to guarantee they're going to play, but if they get a little bit too regimented, they don't leave themselves to that whimsy of travel, of having that
Oh yeah.
flexibility, right? Where they get locked into something, and maybe they don't like something. Who
Well,
knows? Maybe they get to an area where they're like, yeah, this is not what I
and I
thought it
want to play
was.
tourist a little bit too, right?
Right,
So, I
true.
mean,
Right.
you know, there's always a little, and from a golf perspective, there's always a driving range or a miniature golf course or a little par three or a little
Mm,
exact 9-hole course that's completely off the radar
Oh yeah.
that you probably didn't even know existed
Yeah.
or could book a tee time at, and you just kind of happen by saying, "Hey, what the heck is that?" And
Mm,
I've taken enough road trips. I mean, we've taken enough road trips to enough different areas around Canada and the US to know that not every golf course out there is on a map, so to speak.
right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
for
not
sure.
on the radar. You're not,
Yeah.
nobody's going to say, "Hey, you should go play this golf course,"
Yeah.
unless you're there talking to the locals, and the
Right.
locals say, "Hey, have you heard about this one? It's, down the road here, about 20 minutes. Nobody ever plays it. It's a cool little golf course. Conditioning's not the greatest, but it's a cool little course. You might want to try." That's the kind of stuff
Yeah.
that you pick up on road trips that you don't pick up when you book a vacation.
Yeah, I think
So,
the course that jumps out to me like that one time was one in the States, where I was down in Pittsburgh, and I think I've talked about it before. I know I've talked about it with you, but I was in Pittsburgh for the Mario Lemieux Celebrity Golf Tournament and asked a bunch of people around there, "Hey, where do I go play?" And I was with Jim Petrunka, our friend from back in our Golfer's Choice days, and they said, "Hey, this other golf course, it's up this mountain. It's a former strip mine. It's run by a family. It's like $9 to play." Well, they didn't tell us it was $9. We found out when we got there, but $9 included stopping to fish on the one hole. So they had a fishing rod and stuff like there or whatever, and it was fun. It was cool, but it certainly would have been not one that's going to be on any list or any ranking list, or any architectural geek is going to be going to check this out. But it was a cool spot. So yeah.
now what about you?
Um, I mean, I've been obviously very fortunate. I've got to live across the country. I've lived in half the provinces, so I've got to be well traveled over the years. But I think one of the things that resonates with me all the time is the value of golf to small communities. And I think right on that same theme that you're talking about, it's the unknowns. It's the golf courses and the people at those golf courses that really intrigues me at this point. Played enough high profile golf courses that it's not my mission to go and play the top whatever. It's nice when you have the opportunity. It's great to play a fantastic golf course in a fantastic setting, but a fantastic golf course in a fantastic setting has many definitions.
Mm-hmm.
So that could, for me, I think I'd probably head west. I first played golf in the prairies. We mentioned it last week. We were talking about the sand
Yeah.
greens, but I'd like to rekindle that a little bit. I grew up on a 9-hole golf course in BC where I really got to really play the game, and really see the value of it, of how much that brought the people together and bonded them by the way of golf and little 9-hole golf courses. I'd love to take a rip through Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, back into BC a little bit. Play those golf courses that are really the backbone of the game, and they're largely anonymous outside their community. I want to play with locals. I just want to tip it up. I want to share stories. I want to hear their stories. I don't want to sit there and tell them about playing Pinehurst number 2. I want to hear, about that weekend tournament they were playing with their buddies and why it was so fun and why that golf course means so much to them. And I think that would be the ultimate for me, is just to kind of drop in here and there, maybe make some bookings, as you said, maybe spend a few extra days in a community embedded, sort of like I've done in Saskatchewan or
Mm-hmm.
in Scotland trip, where you just sort of embed yourself in a place and you stay there and you get to be part of the scene. So I
Yeah.
think that for me, that would be an attractive road trip, and take some people with me that are maybe like-minded,
Yeah.
that are really really appreciate that community aspect. Yeah, I think that would be it for me. It's those golf courses that they don't get the recognition, but they make up the bulk of what is in this country.
Yeah. No, there's no question about that. I mean, that's the other thing. When you do these trips, finding the right people, the right groups to be on those trips with you is like really, really important. I mean, I
Yeah.
know for me, um, I enjoy playing. I enjoy playing well, but as you know, having played golf with me for quite some time, I my give a crap meter when it comes to what I score when I play
Hmm.
golf is so
Sure.
low.
Yeah.
I just don't care.
Yeah. I mean, the
I'm
scorecard
not
is not
there
the value of the trip, right?
exactly. I'm not
Yeah.
there to score. I'm not there to
Yeah.
shoot 72. I'm not there to turn to the marshal and say, where's the
What's the
first tee and
course
what's the
record?
course record? Like
Yeah.
I no,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can play golf. I'm decent at it.
Yep.
I can shoot, I can shoot a decent number most times when I play, and sometimes I don't. But I like to try everything. I like to take risks. I like to the playing golf is the secondary thing for me when I play a golf course.
Yeah.
The primary thing is to see the golf course, to experience the golf course. If I play well, I play well. If I don't play well, it's not going to ruin my day.
Yeah. I think
And
the template.
I cannot stand to
Yeah.
play golf with people that are not professional golfers that
Mhm.
make a living doing it, and I'm not playing in a tournament where that actually matters.
Right.
If it's not a tournament, if it's not a golf tournament and there isn't
Yeah.
a big check at the end of the
Per your
day,
scorecard.
like I don't care. And if you
Yeah.
care, you don't want to play golf with me because we're
Yeah.
not going to have a good time if you're that. Not that if I want you to care about golf. I don't want you to just
Sure,
golf.
but
But
you don't want to be hand wringing over
don't be so serious.
the results.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
goodness gracious, if you hit it in the bush, you hit it in the bush.
yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, there's no reason to freak out. I was going to say, I think the template for me a little bit is a couple of times when I moved, as a kid, my dad being in the military, we had some options a few times to, drive across the country and to move from one place to another. And I can remember distinctly a trip that I think I was 16 at the time. And we went from BC here to Ontario. And every time we stopped early enough in the day that I could find a golf course and go play. And I remember playing in Hinton, Alberta, and Wawa, Ontario, and
Wawa.
Steinbach, Manitoba. And I mean, but that was neat for me because I basically just walked in, and that it may not be as easy these days to walk into a golf course and say, "Hey, put me out. I'm a single." But at that time, yeah, I'd walk in and find this golf course and just say, put me with whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did I discover the golf course through my own eyes, I discovered the golf course through their eyes. Because sometimes when you only play it for your first glance, you don't really get a feel for everything that golf course means to people. And that's really, as I said, that's the value of golf to those communities. And I think that's where I would go as far as exploring that. I can do lots of other trips. I'm more than happy to jump back in a car and do another trip with you someplace to North Carolina or Myrtle Beach or PEI or wherever the case may be. I'm happy to do those as well, but this would be sort of that other little aspirational thing to do.
Well, the same principles apply, though, Scott. I mean, even when
True.
it is when we do a road trip to North Carolina or Georgia or Florida or Texas or wherever, the same principles apply. Whenever we've done road trips and we've asked for an itinerary, we've always asked, don't just put us at what not everybody can play.
Right. Yeah.
Put us on some public golf courses. Put us in the mix. Like just there's two of us. Put us with two people. Like just we don't always just want to. And there are times with those road trips where we're really packing in a lot. Mm-hmm. So playing with other people, even if they're great people, kind of slows down the process because we're generally getting in the cart, blowing through groups, seeing the whole golf course, jumping in the car and driving to another golf course or another city to check into a hotel and do it all over again. But if we learned as we went along, we spaced those things out a little bit more. We took in more of the local stuff and we played, Tampa Tom out in Tampa Bay. That was great. And we've had that happen in the past where we've been joined up with a couple of people and that's what a road trip is really all about. Is if it's not with with two of your buddies in your own little foursome, your own little eightsome, it's two people go, one person go, find a group and play. Nothing beats the ball rack, right?
Yeah, I think
that's the best way. Drop the ball in the rack.
I think too often people just get caught up in their own bubble of what golf is. So I think it's enlightening sometimes if they have an opportunity to go out and see what golf is like for other people in other places. And I think as a result of that, it makes your own experience richer because you get a greater appreciation for the game itself, not only how you value it, but how other people value it. And as a result, you'll love it even more.
Exactly. All right. I'd like to say so ends the road trip conversation, but it does.
There'll be more.
There's man, we've done so many road trips that there could be podcast after podcast talking about some of the road trips that we've done in the past, and who knows, maybe we will do some in the future.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe some of those road trips might include some our community as well.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. In this day and age, we'll probably record that, and it could be a whole show in itself.
Could be, or
be a different show. All right. I digress.
Yeah.
That's about it for us for this week. Great show. Great discussion. Loved it. Thank you very much, Scott McLeod.
No worries. Enjoyed it too.
And thank you very much to our sponsors, of course, Metcalf Golf Club, Celtic Golf Center. Our presenting sponsor this week, Golf PEI. Prince Edward Island Golf. Prince Edward Island is a premier Canadian golf destination, boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country. With over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences, it is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book those golf vacations and tee times at golfpei.ca. Well, we certainly hope that you are enjoying or have enjoyed hearing, listening, watching, whatever you'd like to do. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media platforms, Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, click the notification bell, make sure that you never miss a single episode, and of course, get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day. Subscribe to Flagstick Digest newsletter and get that great information sent directly to your inbox, not once, not twice, but 3 times per week. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I am Jeff Botter.
And I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.